Matt Berner, you're taking a look at stakes action on Saturday at Delaware Park, race number 10. It's a grade 3 race for 3-year-old fillies. On the main track, it is the grade 3 Delaware Oaks. Before we dive into the field, I'd encourage you to head on over to DRF Bets. The address is drf.com/bet for new sign-up members. You get all sorts of great deals. All the details are there. drf.com/bet is the address. Let's dive into the field of 3-year-old fillies that will go a mile and a 16th. Looking to win the Delaware Oaks in post-position order. The number 1 is Mo Shopping. Mo Shopping goes out for Todd Pletcher, and you're going to find that there's a common theme to this field. It feels like, with the exception of 2 horses, everybody else is kind of slow. And the horses that ran in the Lighthearted, which is the local prep for the Delaware Oaks, they fit that bill as well. That was 4 horses that actually ran in that race. And unfortunately, for the folks that like those horses, they're going to need to step their game up if they're going to be competitive in a field like this. Mo Shopping was the winner that day, and she only earned a 78 buyer. Now, under normal circumstances, you would think a Pletcher winner, first off the bench, going 2 turns, only going to take a step forward here in start number 2. This formulator fact would say otherwise, or would suggest otherwise. Past 3 years, winner last out second after the layoff in graded stakes races. Pletcher's numbers, uncharacteristically light. 4 for 51, 24 of them in the money, though, with a 49-cent ROI. It wouldn't surprise me if Mo Shopping ran well, but again, if you believe the buyers and you believe the time form ratings, this is a filly that's just simply put going to need to run faster than she has to date in order to win a race like this. The number 2 is Blue Union Rags. Blue Union Rags also ran in that spot, in that Lighthearted. She finished 4th in a field of 6. You look at the pedigree, it would suggest that distance is going to be her friend. Now we go from a mile 70 out to a mile and 16th. Perhaps the second start off the bench is going to be beneficial for her. I have to be honest, she is in a position now where she's going to need to take a big step forward, not only just to get the better of the fillies that finished ahead of her that day in the Lighthearted, but also to beat all the other fresh faces that are coming in, and arguably the fresh faces are more talented. So Blue Union Rags has some things that she needs to iron out, but again, if you think this thing turns into a stamina fest, perhaps she is one that fits the bill. She also didn't have the cleanest of starts in that most recent race, so perhaps you want to give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for that one. The number 3 horse is Take Charge Delilah. This is another one of Pletcher's entrants in this spot. She's most recently coming out of a non-winners of one, other than going 1 turn at Belmont Park. She broke her maiden going 1 turn at Aqueduct 2 starts back. That was back in the middle of April. For what it's worth, you see that the top 2 finishers in that most recent start, they were nearly 8 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. The problem now becomes the 3rd place finisher earned a 53 buyer in her next start, and the 4th place finisher earned a 55 buyer on turf. So, from a class standpoint, this Ohio bred is going to be taking on much better horses this time around, but she's so lightly raced, and if you don't trust what you've seen from some of these other girls in the past, maybe she is the fresh face that you're looking for. That's the number 3, Take Charge Delilah. Take Charge Delilah, I brought up, she has a little bit of tactical speed. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector and see where they have her throughout the early portion of the running. You can see that red bar indicating a fast pace, possibly compromising the horses that are forwardly placed and potentially setting up things for horses coming from a little bit farther out of it. They have the number 7 horse out there on the lead, followed by the number 3 horse who we just spoke of. And the number 7 is Prospective Lady, a horse that really, to this point in her career, absolutely needs to have the lead. So I would imagine the 7 is going to be on ascend, and if that's the case, I think Trevor McCarthy is going to be quite content sitting just off of that horse aboard the number 3, Take Charge Delilah. Number 4 is Maya Malibu for Graham Motion. Maya Malibu is a horse that early as a 2-year-old, it felt like the longer this racing got for her, the better she was going to be. Stamina, she's got it bred top and bottom. Looks like distance is going to be her friend the way that she moves. The real problem with a horse like this, from start 1 to start 7, her career best buyer is a 67. She has not gotten any faster whatsoever. She debuted with a 65, and in her most recent start, which was a 3 3/4 length victory, she earned a 66. The 4th and 5th place finishers have come back to run, and they've earned mid-60 buyers on turf. The 3rd place finisher, who she was well in front of, came back to earn a 54 buyer on dirt. This girl is going to need to jump her game up to a totally different level. If I had questions about the horses coming out of the Lighthearted, I have to have questions about Maya Malibu's status at this point anyway. She needs to really step up. Number 5 is Blue Strike. Blue Strike was a horse that I liked in that Lighthearted. That was one of the races that we had gone over. And unfortunately for her, she just couldn't quite get to Mo Shopping. Mo Shopping kept finding. It was not the most, let's say, impressive stretch run from any of those girls. And I think that's going to be sort of the instance where you're going to need to make a call. Do you think that any of them can really take a giant step forward? Because if they can't, they're really going to have a difficult time winning in a spot like this. Blue Strike, again, distance I don't think is a problem for her. And I like that she's just kind of grinding along. But I wanted her to go by Mo Shopping, and I don't think too highly of Mo Shopping, so it's difficult for me to sit here and say that I love the prospects for Blue Strike coming into a spot like this. I suppose if I had to take anyone out of that race, perhaps it's her, but I wouldn't be rushing and trying to cut people in line to bet her in a spot like this. The number 6 horse is Cascanueces. Trying to work on that for the pronunciation. This is the third of the Pletcher Triumvirate. This is going to be this filly's first start in North America, first start as a 3-year-old, and first start since September of 2017. And the fact that she was running down in Peru, I think you have to question a little bit of what she was facing. I understand she's a multiple Group 1 winner down there, but watching the tape on her, she's at least looks like she finishes very, very well. Now, the concern is she's outrunning those races down there. Both races, two of the Grade 1 races anyway, she was coming from the last, basically. Now, the run 2 starts back, that was in a 1-turn mile, and the most recent start, which again was September of last year, that came at 1.25 miles. So I don't necessarily want to look at that and use that as the barometer. The thing that I'm at least hopeful, and maybe I'm trying to spin a positive out of nothing that's actually there, is that from a time form standpoint, the figures that were awarded to her as a 2-year-old, if you look at it compared to the other fillies in this race, what they were earning as 2-year-olds, it stacks up comparably. So if you think that natural progression from 2 to 3 happens, and you get Lasix for the first time for Todd, maybe Cascanueces is actually an interesting alternative if you're looking for one. For what it's worth, the figures that she earned from a time form standpoint in those last 2 starts back, she earned an 89, and in the most recent start, she earned a 91. The number 7 is Prospective Lady. I made mention of her earlier. She was the pace setter in that Lighthearted, fought on gamely, only to be defeated by 3/4 of a length. To me, that again is an indictment on that field. She's going to be out there on the front end. I think she'll be taking a little bit of pressure from Pletcher's horse in there. And again, you've got to deal with these other girls that are coming in, the fresher faces. I don't love Prospective Lady's chances. Number 8 is Coach Rocks. Now, Coach Rocks is a horse for Dale Romans that has that tactical gear. She can go, she can push the pace, she can go right to it if she wants. I think you're in a situation where you let the 7 clear off. I think the 8 and the 3 are going to be in a very, very similar situation. And I think they're just going to sit and wait. And at that point, if you think Coach Rocks might be more talented than a horse like Tate Charge Delilah, she's an interesting alternative. She ran just fine in the Black Eyed Susan. She was no match for the horse drawn just to her outside, but that was over a sloppy sealed racing surface, and perhaps getting back to a fast main track is going to be beneficial for her. If you draw a line through the Kentucky Oaks, you're left with a victory in the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks for the number 8 Coach Rocks. Rajiv Mirage has the mount. Number 9 is Red Ruby. Red Ruby's most recent start, she won the Black Eyed Susan over a sloppy sealed racing surface. Trainer Kellen Gorder has said, I don't think she needs a wet track to be effective, but she certainly seems to be moving up on a wet track. So if you don't get that, and you look and see at her overall body of work, she hasn't done a heck of a lot wrong. She's 3 of 5 lifetime, 4 times in the exacta, but both of her impressive victories have come on sloppy sealed racing surfaces. So if you get a fast main track, there's a part of me that wonders if she's just going to be a little bit of an underlay in here because she's a name, because she's won a big race. And really, from a speed figure standpoint, if you take that Black Eyed Susan out, she doesn't have a tremendous edge on any of these other girls. And considering the amount of money she's going to take, she's just one of those horses that I acknowledge her. She's one of the more likely win candidates in here, but I'm not thrilled at what the potential value could be for her, the number 9 Red Ruby. And the number 10, rounding out the field, is Geo Game from Mark Cassie. Most recently finished 3rd. She has Grade 1 place. She's worth her weight in gold. She finished 3rd in the Grade 1 Acorn. There's nothing wrong finishing behind Monomoy Girl and Talk Voof to me. The run 2 starts back. Visually, it was inoffensive. Wasn't anything spectacular. Her and She's a Julie, they hooked up and they threw it down, and they were a country mile clear of the 3rd place finisher and the rest of the field. For what it's worth, She's a Julie came back and was the next out winner with an 82 buyer. So if you think that that stacks up comparably, who knows? Geo Game, from a buyer standpoint, the 3 most recent starts, they're all very, very strong, and she fits in here very nicely. I think she is one of the more likely win contenders. That outside draw, a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, she has a little bit of ability to get into a decent enough position. I think Geo Game is one of the more likely win contenders in this year's Delaware Oaks. And let's get into the pick. As far as this year's Delaware Oaks is concerned for me, I made mention I don't like the locally based horses of the sort of new fresh shooters in here. Red Ruby, I respect her, but I think she's going to be overbet on the heels of that sloppy sealed racing surface victory in the Black Eyed Susan at Pimlico. And Geo Game, I like her, but again, the outside draw, I think she's probably the most likely winner of the race. Won't be surprised at all, but I'm not going to pick her. I'm going to go with the freshest face in this entire group. Going out for Pletcher for the first time North America. Kendrick Carmouche has them out on the number 6, Cascanueces, and I believe that is translated to Nutcracker in English. So I'm going to go with the 6 in here. Again, the running style, she's going to be coming from the back of it, so I'm going to need that pace projector to be accurate, where they're going to be going quick early on, and hopefully there's going to be some serious hitting going, and maybe she can come with a legitimate run. It's never easy going 2 turns off of such a long layoff, first time in a new situation, but I think the combination of how fast she ran as a 2-year-old, you add Lasix, you get her into Todd's barn, I'll take a shot with the number 6, Cascanueces, in this year's Grade 3 Delaware Oaks at 1.16 on the main track. Again, if you're playing this race or any of the other racing from Delaware Park or anywhere else coast to coast on Saturday afternoon, head on over to DRF Bets. If you are a new sign-up member, you'll get all sorts of great deals. The address is drf.com/bet. Scheduled post time for race number 10 at Delaware Park on Saturday. The Grade 3 Delaware Oaks is 5:45 Eastern. Best of luck.